coming to you live from the backseat of a 1984 Holden Kingswood. It's time for Destiny Down Under.
G'day and welcome to the 85th episode of the Destiny Down Under podcast. Holy shit. I haven't even got a sentence in and I've already made a mistake. But, go to bed. Right, here we are. We are Mylan Games. We are Real Time Sloth. And this week, we are joined by the legend himself, Slayerage. Welcome, man. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Glad to be here.
Good stuff.
Excellent.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I also wanted to say thanks for having probably the only two nicknames that work together to form a sentence. So you can put a comma between them and it's kind of descriptive. I'm pretty happy with that. That made life very easy for me. but before we dive into any the absolute metric shit ton of stuff that's happened in the Destiny community this week, how is everyone? Matt, you want to go first? You've had nothing eventful happen this week, surely.
Oh no, yeah. To be honest, not much happened this week. It was pretty quiet.
Shut up.
Well, look, do you want me to talk about that now, or
nah. Wait, leave it. But everyone knows about the book, so we'll talk about it in a bit.
We'll talk about it in a bit. Yeah, look, I've done in the Destiny game though. You know, Whisper of the Worms was great. I've read the lore on that, and I've had the I've seen some of the data for the ship. Someone's mined that in the DestinySets.com. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet, but you can look at your collections on DestinySets.com, and they data mined the exotic ship that's likely to be released with Whisper of the Worms. So I've had a quick squeeze of that Lord tab. It looks really interesting as well, and that's pretty much me this week.
Slothy.
Excellent. This week's been kind of slow, to be honest. I finally knocked over the main story of The Witcher, which was huge. That is like 50, 60 hours of like non-stop Witcher for the last 2 weeks on stream. And just keeping an eye on a very special book that has come out this week by our good friend, the bearded Obi-Wan knockoff. But outside of that, man, it's been pretty flat out this week. Not a great deal done. How about yourself, bud?
Mate, I've been flat stick busy with work and working on music stuff that I'm almost ready to tell everyone about and put an insane amount of pressure on myself. But I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it later on. Who knows?
Look, can you tell everyone what your Twitter message was to me? You know that you got this new bloody $1 million project, and what are you thinking about?
Oh yeah, I was at work. I was at work in a meeting, and I've got I'm been put in charge of like a multi-million-dollar like project at work, and went straight into the meeting about it from talking to Matt about the podcast, and I was literally just not even listening in this meeting and thinking about the podcast. What an asshole! What an asshole! But anyway, it's not my money. If it was $7 million of my money, I'd give a shit. But anyway, I really hope no one at work watches the podcast. I'm sure I'll find out this week if you do. So good. Slayerage, how are you, man? And what have you been up to this week? I've seen some of what you've been up to in the last week or so, and I found it intimidating. But how's things? What's been going on?
Life has been all kinds of busy lately. It's kept me from streaming as much as I want to in some ways, but I'm actually really excited about the Whisper of the Worm stuff that's come out. That's like probably the best indication of Destiny's health I've seen in quite a long time, and it's really nice to see something that's like challenging and, you know, really inspires me to get on the game again. So I've been pretty much playing that nonstop every opportunity I've got. It's been a good time.
No, that's good, man. It's good to have people come back and really be wanting that that challenge from PvE, because it has been lacking. It has been lacking for quite a while. and a lot of people were very vocal about it in the very early days of Destiny 2. So I'm kind of glad that someone as yourself is finding that challenge and finding it somewhat fun, if that makes sense. So that's really, really good to see, man. Really, really good to see.
What we might do is just jump straight into who Slayer is and what he does, right? Like let's get that out of the way, because then we can talk about the video he put up through the week is intimidating to someone who's as shit at Destiny as I am. But dude, if you could to do so, can you please sum yourself up in your own words to people who may or may not have encountered your stuff on the interwebs before?
So I basically, I got a YouTube channel. I like to pick apart Destiny analytically, and a lot of times that turns into little discussion videos about what I think of mechanics and aesthetics and this, that, and the other in the game. And then other times it turns into just basically taking the game to its absolute limits and doing like solos of things like the Whisper of the Worm quest that came out. So pretty much pushing Destiny to its limits in any way I can is what I'm all about.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Now, this video that Log is referring to, that is intimidating to say the least. Could you please explain exactly what you did?
I mean, it's the most recent video of yours that I've watched anyway. It's your solo Whisper of the Worm, and I watched it and I thought that doesn't look that hard. And then I got carried through it by my heels by players far better than myself. Sass, I think you're in the chat. I appreciate you, man. But dude, holy shit, how do you do that? Were you bred in a tube just to fuck up PvE or what?
No, dude, I played a ton of Halo 3 and then a ton of Destiny 1, and at this point I just like it's all very second nature to me, and I have no problem spending hour after hour wiping on something to figure out exactly what the right way to approach it is. So when you see something on YouTube like that, it looks ridiculous obviously once you try it yourself, but it's really a lot of failure to get to the one successful attempt.
How many hours do you think, if you could like average it out, would it take to sort of, I guess different challenges take different amounts of time, but if you had to sort of put like attempts or hours on it, like how long would it take to get, that solo run?
I mean, it definitely does depend heavily on what challenge it is. Like solo Axis, I want to say I took 30 hours on that in Destiny 1 before I got it.
Yeah.
But I think the solo Whisper of the Worm, it really did not take that long, because the Whisper, the weapon you get from it, is absolutely nuts in game. But I spent like 7 hours today doing it without Whisper, just to, like I said, push the limit on that kind of thing.
Right. I mean, so you did 7 hours today on Whisper.
Yeah, and that's about how long it took to beat it without using Whisper.
And what would you say is like, how much of it requires the game to have like a bit of luck versus, obviously there's a huge amount of skill, but is there times where it's like the game just doesn't want to help you?
Yeah.
You just get screwed over.
Like some challenges are really, really luck dependent and others are not luck dependent at all. But almost all of them you can make up for bad luck by having good gameplay, and it's only in like rare exceptional cases where bad luck will really just completely screw you and there's just no way you can recover from it. But there's also like in Destiny specifically, everything is so it's happening as you do it. It's very a play in motion in every one of those challenges. So any given encounter will have like 10 or 12 different things that can go right or go wrong, and if they all go right, then you suddenly have a really good easy run. And if they all go wrong, it can be a ton of little uncommon things where there's like, say, just a 40% chance that it goes wrong and it's a minor thing. But if enough of those 40% happen, then suddenly you've got a failed run. But almost all of it can actually be manipulated most of the time if you really know what you're doing.
Yeah. Is that awesome. The like attraction for you, is to like find, how to manipulate it to make it pretty much work for you? Yeah.
A specific example that comes to mind is not really a big thing, but it mattered a lot in the run that I was doing today. There's a specific wizard in the Whisper of the Worm quest that hides kind of behind it's like right next to a little cave and a wall and a blight. And I don't really have time to shoot out the blight, so I'm kind of fighting it in this really cramped space. And it took me a long time to realize that the way to fight it was to like take off his shield, chase it into the cave. Then once I've chased it into the cave, run away from the cave because it's going to chase me back out and kill it while doing that. Like I basically get every little part of every encounter down to a science.
That's cool.
To where, yeah, that's definitely the appeal.
All I took out of that is that it's that I can beat things by running away, and that's going to be my strategy from now on.
I really want to get your thoughts on Whisper. Sorry, Sloth, but I do want to I do also like asking the guests to give us a little bit of backstory about what got them into either YouTube or streaming, or like what was this sort of initial inspiration to start putting content out there. Can you tell us a bit about where it all started?
Yeah, for me it was Vault of Glass. Really, I did a 2-man Vault of Glass run way back, like a month after the raid release or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think anything all that much of it at the time. It was like my friend thought of a way to do it. He was the one that came up with the idea of dying and then self-reviving to prevent Atheon from teleporting him, so that we would always have someone in the room and not wipe to being shadow realmed, whatever it was. I can't remember the term anymore, but we did that just because we realized we could, basically. Yeah, lost in time. That.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Once we did that, it was really just like for fun between the two of us. At the time, we posted it to YouTube because we were like, other people might want to see this. And at some point or other along the line after, I did basically the same thing. He stopped playing shortly after that, and I wound up soloing Crota. And then I realized I could stream through my Xbox, which is what I played on at the time, and it was the simplest thing in the world. So people started watching because I had YouTube videos that I just kind of coincidentally put out, really more than anything else. And it was just a lot more fun to play with, like tons of people commenting on every little thing, because when I was doing like Crota solo speedruns, people were watching this and actually like getting excited about, am I actually going to get it this time, or is it going to be a complete failure? And having a crowd respond to it is like that sold me on streaming ever since.
So I'd just like to point out to the audience that Slayerage just made it like YouTube and Twitch seem like the easiest thing ever. A little bit like Howie. A little
he
bit
does
like
that with everything. That's his thing, making everything that's hard look fucking easly.
I just struck when the iron was high. I got lucky. I got really lucky.
100 plus subscribers. Dude. Well done,
but
man.
I think the first video I ever saw of you doing this crazy stuff in Destiny was when you, Epic, and Dom 3-man Wrath of the Machine, and then following on from that, the solo attempt, the solo of it, like it was just it blew my mind, man. Like I didn't realize that people had that much skill. Like my fingers don't work that way.
Your sausage fingers.
Look at his sausage fingers.
Oh, bloody grass. But no, that is legitimate, man. Like your skill is. I mean, there's a reason why the legend himself. But no, you've killed it. You've got yourself a very niche part of the market, and you've absolutely killed it, man. So I say congratulations on that, if that makes sense.
I love how I love how the progression was, hey, I've got a buddy so we can 2-man stuff, and then he leaves. So rather than it be like, I probably should find a clan, it's like, I don't know, I'll just solo stuff.
Yeah,
don't want them finding your teammate.
You're also a case in point example of like why people who say, "Oh, I can't raid, I don't have a clan," are categorically wrong. It's just, you just got to get good, really fucking good.
Yeah, just dedicate like tens of thousands of hours to it. I mean, it's completely worth it.
Right.
How many hours do you have in Destiny 1, and how many hours do you have in Destiny 2? Do you know?
I would guess somewhere close to 10,000 in Destiny 1, I would imagine. I mean, maybe not quite that many, but definitely above 7,000. And
would you say it's
Destiny
definitely over 9,000?
Oh, yeah. I mean, massive.
Oh, 9,000.
Sorry, it's too good.
Yeah.
It's too good. Miss that opportunity.
That's ridiculous. Like legit. Like congratulations on your success there. Now, Mylan, speaking of success.
Oh God. You can't segue with that.
Would you like to tell us about a very special book that has been released, been tweeted about from Bungie? Obviously, don't go breaking NDAs.
Oh, God. I regret writing that into the run sheet.
If you could sort of talk about that, I would really love to hear it, man. Your project.
So I don't know really how much more I can say. This is what I can say about it. For those who haven't seen the tweet, for those who haven't seen anything else, Bungie are releasing the Destiny Grimoire Anthology, and the first volume is called Dark Mirror, and that is what I was contracted to do for Bungie as a curator, essentially, to help put those volumes together. I think that's probably the most of the sort of official information I can say about it. I know people have a ton of questions, and I can 100% tell you that I am itching to tell you everything about it, but I can't. And it's an interesting relationship between myself and Bungie because, they probably don't. I've still got the active YouTube channel. And being contracted for Bungie, and so I'm sort of sitting this in a different space and maybe some other people working there. And it's really important for me to not jump the gun on details, and that you get like official communication from Bungie through their Twitter, through the TWAB, and all that kind of stuff. What I can say is when the idea was asked to me and if I was going to be involved, I obviously was as excited, like what I've seen from people pre-ordering and looking, and a little tiny piece of artwork that you've seen in the book, and that kind of excitement is exactly how I felt when I was asked to help out with it. And so that's what I've been doing since I sort of announced that I was.
So the first piece of art that I saw from that book was in I can't remember whose tweet it was, but it was Oryx.
It might actually be on the pre-orders.
Yeah, it was Oryx standing there with his sword, wings outstretched, facing off against Akka, and oh my lord, I've not been that as excited for that sort of art for a long time.
It's the kind of like glorious heavy metal album cover art that like I'm like, right? If I could get that tattooed on myself or in a massive poster or anything, I'm just like, I can't wait to flip through that thing. I can't.
I might add it.
It's got that dark theme to it, right? And I can't wait for people to get their hands on it. It's going to be a really cool item, and it's something that really spawned from the community watching it, from the community, making their own, wanting this so bad and making their own like books. They're Grimoire card books, essentially. So, I think that's about it before I fucking put my foot in it.
Yeah, don't put your foot in it. We don't want lawyers and so forth coming down on us. But ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, I just want to comment on something. Matt, were you on the episode where we talked about the agreement with Blizzard Publishing that Bungie had made?
Dude. I'm pretty sure on that episode you fucking said something so close to the truth. I was like, who fucking told you, Log? I was like, I can tell you. You said something that if someone was listening to that, they would have gone, oh shit, Matt's working on the books. Like it was, if you get back and look at my fucking face during when you said, I can't remember exactly what you said, but if you get back and look at my face, I'm like, are you cool?
here I was about to commend you on your poker face, but clearly not. Anyway, no, that's dude. It's great. I can't wait to get my hands on it, and I think everyone's pretty much in the same boat with that. But do we want to dive into the news? I can't wait to get Slayerage's perspective on some of this shit. As someone who could adequately use some of the new weapons anyway. Right? All right, let's play some fucking music for a moment. Take it away, Slothy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the news from the TWAB this week. And big props to Rise of Bacon on Reddit for the summary as well. But we have some armor pieces. Now, I haven't seen any tweets. I haven't read any tweets as per what we've said on previous casts. Log is our contact when it comes to watching all the new release stuff, because Matt and I are trying to stay as blind as possible going into Forsaken. But we have a few new armor pieces and weapon pieces coming in. We've got something called the Twin-Tailed Fox, a rocket launcher that fires 2 rockets at the same time. Now, Slayerage, have you played?
Two-tailed fox.
Sorry, the two-tailed fox.
butchered
Slayerage, have you
the
played?
first one.
Have you played Gambit at all?
Yeah, I have. I did just play that.
Would any of these now on the list that you can see in front of you, and we'll cover off each one, but on the list seeing in front of you, do you see anything that would be very muchly Gambit focused, or are they mostly just PvE and PvP, like two separate?
You know, I can't remember exactly which one it is, but the bow that allows you to see through walls, I could definitely see that being strong for Gambit as an invader.
Ooh.
That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, the weapon that lets you see through walls.
Well, you do get to see their name tag while you're invading too. It's just, it'd be an extra little help on top of that.
Yeah, Wish-Ender is the bow. Wish-Ender is the bow.
Wishend.
Wishinder,
Oh, right.
okay.
So is that must be like
this,
that true sight from the new hunter class, very similar to that.
Well, it looks like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which is interesting because it's sort of like, I guess do you think that sort of levels the playing field for the hunters having that?
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense to me.
Maybe. I mean, it's having a very specific exotic and being able to use it compared to having a subclass that you've got on all the time. Dude, it may well be 10 times as powerful. You don't know. It's really, I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. I'll say that.
The two-tailed fox is interesting because it's got to have tracking, right? Like, how can it fire 2 rockets without tracking? Or do you?
Unless it's like the Helix rockets from Soldier 76 from Overwatch, where it just sort of twists around each.
No, they definitely.
They got different locations.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of it being used. I mean, and something on the TWAB, I believe. They actually had a video where it showed it being used, and I didn't even see the second rocket come out at first, but it kind of looks like it looked maybe like it had tracking or something like that.
Yeah,
I couldn't even tell because it was
same.
just like 2 back-to-back basically instantly.
So
Dude,
what, like looking down the side of it, lock on one, lock on other. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, well, it showed it split off and hit 2 enemies, and I just don't know how you would do that without tracking.
Unless it just.
What I'm wondering is how it
picks up.
compares to Wardcliff Coil, because Wardcliff has that same tracking property with the Catalyst especially.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Wardcliff fires like 8 rockets, so I'm kind of wondering how 2 is going to beat 8 currently.
Maybe it just picks 2 random enemies in a group. Like I don't know that. Yeah. Or anything.
I didn't even think about that. I was like 2 rockets. He's like, we've got what if it's got like 8 rockets.
Yeah, but blast radius.
I mean, we'll have a lot of that. That's true.
Yeah, I think that's where it'll differentiate itself. But I mean, it looks pretty cool. Anyway, next slot. What's the next one?
Yeah.
And then we've got the Black Talon, a projectile sword, similar to the Boltcaster from D1. Yeah. I think I have not seen a lot. When D1 before D2, I never actually saw anyone use the Boltcaster in a PvE type of situation. Like they used it in PvP just as a bit of a dick.
Wasn't there something, maybe Slayage, wasn't there something that came that was quite good for Boltcaster PvE content? Wasn't there a raid encounter that was good for that?
I feel like you're right, but I can't remember what it is either.
What was the end of Axis? What was the sword you used there? And just the old spin.
That was Dark Drinker.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, right. Okay,
yeah.
Never mind.
A projectile sword. So hopefully it's better than Boltcaster. I remember a lot of people, especially in the clan in TA, a lot of people saying, why the hell would you use Boltcaster? Why would you use it when there's things like Dark Drinker and
Raised Lighter?
Raised Lighter, thank you. I was going to call it Phoenix, but no, it's not that. And then straight after that, we've got the 1000 Voices explosive beam of fire. It looks like a trace rifle that keeps you floating in the air while you fire it whilst airborne, or as Log has noted in the notes, or just a warlock.
Well, the main thing is
warlock, I think
you like paint. You could paint the ground really in like a line of like with the beam, and essentially that sort of where you've traced it will blow up.
So the Gandalf gun, thou shalt not pass.
Well, I was
fine.
thinking-
Move on. I
I
thought
was
it was
thinking-
better than it was. Move on.
Nah,
That wasn't a joke. It was funny. Fuck you. The Antaeus ward slide to reflect projectiles, literally bounces a rocket back to sender.
Oh,
So it's
yes.
just very similar. It seems very similar to the pole dancer. So you've got your spinning bow staff type of situation to reflect projectiles. Though I wonder if there's a cooldown for that though. So do we know what that is? Is that
I don't know, but basically the mechanic is they look awesome too, like just quietly, but they're basically these Titan legs that look like they've got molten metal flowing around underneath the surface of them, and then basically someone shoots a rocket at the dude and he slides and it just goes bunk.
That's
so
funny.
it's going to be one of
that's
those
kinda-
things that you're going to be relying pretty heavily on the netcode for to pull off in PvP, but
So-
at the same time, it far out. It looked cool.
How long Slayerage until we see a video from you with like the world's greatest amount of ping pong between two Titans with the boots
Oh
on?
my god, that actually sounds like a great idea.
When you
Do you
lose,
reckon you could
lose.
just keep doing that?
I don't know. I mean,
I
you
don't
need to
see
build
why
up the sprint speed to be then able to slide again. But it looks like a shield just comes up when you slide. That's the deal. That's it.
That's so. It's their Titan boots, yeah.
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 Okay, cool. All right, and then we've got the two bows from the list here. We've got the Trinity Ghoul, which is a precision bow. A precision kills create electrical storm arrows, and Wish Ender, as we talked about at the top of this segment, which see through walls and pierce targets and over penetrates targets as well. I know a lot of people are really, really excited for bows. Matt, you played Gambit. I know that you did. Did you get a chance to use
We
bows?
we use one of the, I can't remember the name. Do you remember the name, Slayage, of the exotic bow at the summit?
No, I don't. All I remember is that it fired 3 arrows at once.
Yeah, that's right.
That was
Yeah.
its thing.
That's
so-
cool.
I think the top players are going to make them really cool and powerful. I think this is going to be one of those archetypes that has a nice skill gap to them. And you know, I didn't find them effective because I wasn't good enough with them. So you
Yes,
know,
we've
they're
played
gonna,
PvP with you before. We know.
yeah, you're gonna have to take a little bit of practice to get used to the bows, and I think they'll, you know, you need to hit your shots. I think if you hit all your shots with them, they're gonna be super effective. But if you don't, you're gonna get stomped by the other weapons. And in my case, I didn't find a need for the one that we had because I was performing better with the other weapons. So. Which I think is a good thing. Like I think there's going to be a skill gap for bows, and people will find their place with using them.
Man at arms in the chat. I'm a redneck. I automatically get 20 plus accuracy with a bow. Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, only if you shoot rodents with it, but so. All right, moving
and then
on.
we see the triumphant return of the Ace of Spades. Give vengeance. Reloading after a kill, it gives extra damage bullets, and we are hoping that it does stack. But I remember using the Ace of Spades in D1. Wasn't great. I didn't find it that great. It might have been some people's weapons, but I never really strayed from the meta because I'm a meta whore and all that sort of thing. But
Honestly,
I think a lot of people
I'm
are gonna
excited
see
about
that.
that. I'm excited about that purely because I never even got it in D1. And I know that people would be like, what? But I main a Titan. I never ever invested the time in a Hunter enough to unlock it. And I'm hoping that that's not the case again. I hope I can just use it as a Titan, please. That would be nice. Anyway.
yes. The next one being the 6th Coyote, the chest. It is we have a clip of a hunter double dodging, so one after another. So I wonder if that works with the hunter class ability with your either going invisible or reloading the weapon that you're using. So maybe it gives you invisibility on one and then reload on the other. Maybe it's just a dodging mechanic, who knows, but that's kind of cool. I just know that I'm going to hate hunters even more in PvP
Dude.
with chests like that. Namely
Yeah,
referring the tweet
it's-
of, if you're a hunter in Mayhem, then you are human garbage.
Careful.
You know what? Like there's so many things already. And I think Whisper of the Worm is in this category. And after we've sort of finished this summary, I want to go Slayerage's opinion on Whisper of the Worm and sort of the way that this is going, because there's so many things that just look like they're gonna be broken. But I think people are ready for stuff to be broken and they want it to be fun and exciting. And having a hunter with double dodge, and then let's say they're on that Night Stalker class, and they've already got like a super with invisibility and like true sight. Like they're completely double downing on like the fantasy of a ninja, and it's cool, and I like it a lot. It's going to be interesting what PvP fucking looks like, and like because there's so many interesting mechanics that they're like introducing with these weapons and exotics.
Yeah,
but like at the same time, when you say that, the most memorable things, for better or for worse, are the broken things, right? Like, you remember Thorn. Absolutely. You remember Fell Winter's Lie. You remember how bullshit the Vex Mythoclast was really early on. And all the Suros.
Right?
You know, like, they're the things that you remember. And that's like fucking the better part of 4 years ago now. And we're still angry about it. So if you were on the right side of that equation, you loved it. If you weren't, you hated it. It's good.
Yeah. But this is the thing that... This is the thing that, I mean, that we've been spouting on the last couple of episodes as well, is that if it's broken, then it's truly exotic. It does. Yeah. It shouldn't feel like just another weapon. It should be this thing that is just so weird and wonderful. And if you can have your playstyle based around that, i.e., like if you want to use sun braces and just throw grenades for eternity, then work with that. I know that I'm being very boring in my example there, but there are so many pieces out there that if you want to build your playstyle around that, go for it. And
I think so.
It breeds more play styles that people can have fun with. And the more fun you have with the game, the more fun you have in the game, the more fun you'll have.
Just thinking about that, just on a really random tangent that just popped into my mind. I know you're right to be worried, but with that, with the Titan legs, if they deflect weapons, what happens if you slide into another person? Is it going to deflect the person like a push?
No, it's a projectiles. It's projectiles.
A person isn't a projectile log.
Well, they can be.
Jesus Christ. How many projectiles are there even really? Like there's like rockets and grenade launchers, but like what else?
Well, rockets, grenade launchers, bullets. People, someone in the chat said there before, maybe a Nova, maybe hammers. I don't know.
Yeah, those are definitely those two that would have to count.
Dude, if you can send a Nova Bomb straight back into a Warlock's face. Oh.
Man. Go on, Slayerage. What were you saying?
I would be pissed if I was Nova bombing a guy and he just turned it on me.
Because hold on, what did the deflecting swords do in D1? They reflected that, right? Or not?
I think they did.
Well, if you had the memory of Scori, I think it was
the medallion.
Yeah, if you had the medallion, it reflected projectiles. But again, I don't know. I can't remember if they reflected supers.
Okay, I have Toes and Chad said they reflected Novas.
Ooh. There you go.
Radagast artifact reflected, I think, like literally everything.
Oh, oh my!
Okay, hold on. I got another request. When do we see the video Slayerage on ping pong with Novas? Oh, you need a referee. You would need the referee as the Warlock, and you would have to have two Titans, and they're like, and game on.
Nova tennis.
Oh, that's funny. So the next one we've got on their list is, and I'm sorry if I butcher this, but the Malfeasance. 5 hits, detonate an explosion. Now, I didn't see the video on this, but what is it?
This looks like a hive weapon. This looks like a badass Thorn sister.
It makes me think of a Necrochasm, but it just blows up without getting headshot kills necessarily. It's like a Necrochasm hand cannon kind of.
Okay, cool. That's, another weapon. What were the hive weapons called, Matt?
Weapons of Sorrow.
Yeah, Weapons of Sorrow. So, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
We've got the Chromatic Fire. It's a Warlock chest. Elemental explosions from kinetic precision kills. Great for Nightfalls.
Yeah.
Maybe very, very PvE based type situations, but that's kind of cool. I like that. I like that. I wonder if it's the element that you have on your class, or if you can choose it very similar to the hard light. Like you could choose it in the settings of the thing.
For some reason, I had assumed that it would be random, but that makes so much more sense that it would just be your subclasses or something.
I kind of hope it's random because then it'll just be pretty and rainbow.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, with all these sort of weapons, I'm interested to hear your opinion on, and including Whisper of the Worm now, particularly with it being pre-nerf, Black Hammer or Black Spindle, right? What's your thoughts on how this will change the game, Slayerage?
I mean, looking at the list that we have here, I feel like all of the new exotics are going to be fun to use. I don't think they're necessarily going to be huge meta changers, necessarily. Yeah. But PvE-wise, at least, Whisper of the Worm is... it's hard to be entirely sure, not being in the new weapon slots, but in the current weapon slots and quite possibly after them, having a weapon that just has infinite ammo is going to be absolutely nuts. And if the catalyst for Whisper of the Worm does give it box breathing, then it's going to be pretty much the DPS king until they create Galahorn 2.0 or something, because it's already nuts.
Yeah,
it is
stupid.
It
That's
is stupid.
Change the game for you, right, as a solo player trying to do solo things, because this sort of opens up a whole strategy that if you hit all your shots, you're not going to run out of heavy.
Yeah, it's actually... I wouldn't be surprised if it's opened the door to Argos being soloable now. That's something I've been thinking about trying.
There you go, guys. You've hit it. You've heard it here first.
That's I mean, that's yeah. Hey, can just for all of the absolutely crazy people out there, so your Carolina gamers and your SC Slayerages and all those sort of people, has anybody soloed Spyro Stars yet? I know that
the very first part, the very first area,
okay,
when you had to stand on all four of the plates until you can throw towards the middle. Nothing else though.
I remember watching the Valkaor kill in like 1.5 seconds or something like that. Like just the amount of the things that people come up with to, well, as you said, break the game, to push it to its absolute limits. With all these weapons and so forth coming out, I'm kind of excited to see what people do with these year one raids when year two is fully and finally released. Year three is fully and finally.
That was always sort of part of the fun of it too, is that you kind of get to go back and blast through the raids where they were really challenging before. Like, when Taken King came out and you'd leveled up a bit, you could go back into the vault and it was kind of like, without it being an easy mode, it was an easy mode, right?
You feel like Slayerage. It only takes like 2 years to get there.
Yeah, and like an update that makes me twice as powerful. Thanks for just bringing me back down a peg. I needed that.
So, and the last thing on our little weapons part of the thing here is looks like we have a Prison of Elders armor from D1 has returned. Now, was it Prison of Elders that introduced the chroma? If I remember correctly, it was.
I think so.
Yes. Yeah. The helmet that they're talking about is the Titan one with the wings.
Oh, and the aeroplane.
The Qantas.
The aeroplane.
The 747.
Planes.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. But that's good to see. If they actually bring chroma back in, i.e. like...
Well, they're doing glow now.
Yes. So I like that. I think that if you have a little bit more give in how you customize your character, I think a lot of people would really, really enjoy that. And it's very small quality of life change, but I think a lot of people do miss it.
I think the other thing too, just while we're on that sort of stuff, I've seen probably over the last month, I've noticed this tweet is like bits of armor that have locked in colors that you can't change. So really, you kind of really restricts the pool of shaders you can even put on them without them looking like something that your dog just regurgitated. So I think that moving forward, I'd love to see them kind of really opened that up. I mean, I remember back in the day when Armamentarium was just green no matter what you did. And it looked like you just had a life preserver on. But down the line, once you could paint it whatever color you wanted to paint it, right? More. I think at the end of the day, it's a fashion game as much as it's about skill, as much as Slayerage might disagree.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you, dude. No, absolutely.
All right.
So we've got a reveal stream upcoming. Year 2 combat reveal stream Tuesday, August 7th, 10 a.m. PDT, Wednesday, 3 a.m. Australian AEST on twitch.tv/Bungie or youtube.com/Bungie.
Doing the YouTube. Is this the first YouTube stream?
It's the first time I've noticed it.
So this is so if you want to watch on YouTube, go there. If you want to watch on Twitch, go there. Just make sure you have the channel.
It's interesting. It sort of makes sense because there's so much of the community that content creators wise that maybe only do YouTube, right? And it'd be interesting to see who shows up in each chat or because I mean, whenever I think of a live stream, I think of Twitch. I don't really think of YouTube, as a place to watch live streams. So it would be interesting to see what those chats look like.
I didn't even watch you when you were streaming on YouTube. I'm just got
Thanks.
Didn't we used to restream this? This used to go out to YouTube as well. One day?
No, one day.
Yeah.
So upcoming as well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new bit of information on Crucible Labs. If you'd forgotten it, like I had, new mode Lockdown. It is a 4v4 competitive objective-based mode. Score is progressed solely by playing the objective. No timer, solely dictated by the score. If a team holds all 3 zones, they instantly win the round, and points only accrue from zones if they are uncontested. Crucible Lab matches now counts towards your battle. So if you would want to check that out, it is upcoming. I had completely forgotten about Crucible Labs. It's kind of cool that they're testing new game modes. I know a lot of people are still very upset that the fact that it's not a isolated sandbox for weapons changes and all that sort of thing. But if you want to test out that new mode, it is
new mode though. That's cool.
I'll be saying
that for sure. But interesting. It's interesting. Like it's 4v4. I wonder how long it's been sort of in the pipeline before they went back to sort of 6v6. And it's like, well, this game mode actually works really well for 4v4. So,
I mean, competitive stays 4v4 anyway, and it really looks like that kind of game mode. So it's really something that the 3 of us that host this show week in, week out probably have no business meddling with. But I'm interested to see what Slayerage thinks as someone who's actually capable and competent in playing this fucking game. What do you reckon, mate?
Man, I'm glad to see them toy with a objective mode that really focuses heavily on the objective. So I haven't actually played it at all myself, but based on what I've heard about it, it seems like people are liking it, and I'm not surprised. I think objectives are something that's been missing from a lot of Destiny's competitive play, and Lockdown looks cool.
I used to really like the game mode that was control, but where what was it? Was it? Oh, I don't know. I nearly called
zone
it
control.
Domination. Yeah, zone control, where the score was only advanced by controlling the points. And I thought, like, it gives an opportunity for players who might not be the best 1v1 sort of, players, I suppose, to still be useful by going around and capturing points and flanking and things like that. I think, anything that varies gameplay, at least at the top level, is going to be welcome, I think. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So on that, I was reading a bit more details about how it works with, like, triple caps and stuff like that. And you've got to have everyone, with the objectives, you've got to have everyone clear of the objectives. And so they internally testing, they've had really close calls where people save, from a triple cap just by, obviously standing in one of the objectives and preventing it from getting the win. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of plays come out of it. It sounds from internally that they've had some really exciting matches with it.
I think in regards to Lockdown, I think this might be my lack of skill coming through. But a lot of people play sixes and they just run around in groups because that's the way that people play now. There's no solo. Well, there's not much solo Like solo players don't shine as bright as they used to in D1. Excuse me. So when people say it's 4v4, 3-zone capture, I think people are just going to roll around in groups of 4, and it's just going to be a chase run mechanic. So like they'll start one group on A, one group on C, capture, and then one group will roll around, or they'll clash on B, and they'll be like, well, one team will either take B or not, and then it'll be the team that's losing will be chasing the other points that the other teams are not at, if that makes sense. So that's just chase run mechanic as groups, because there's not really any scope for solo play anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's I can see where you're coming from, but when you get to the point where you get players who are competent and capable of handling maybe a 2v1 engagement, right? They will shine so fucking bright, it's ridiculous, because they can hold down these points when other people can't. So I think, I understand where the game's at in terms of it's like that team shot meta is so strong, but I think that we're kind of slowly getting away from it. Hopefully, anyway.
Well, look, I don't know if you guys saw, but in the detailed notes for the reveal stream, they said that they're going to be people have noticed that in like the Game Informer Crucible plays, that the time to kill looks quicker. And Winooski said that, we're going to talk about the globally reduced time to kill. And they're also going to address the weapon slots and the ammo availability in that live stream. So if you sort of want to look at, it'd be interesting to see what that does as well with these objective-based games. But also like adjusting, I think they're sort of already moving towards that and adjusting the time to kill as well. It looks like it's going to be a win for the Crucible. So I'll be keen to look at that reveal stream and have a look at what they're saying about time to kill.
Absolutely. Well,
I think we need to give a shout out to Nusk.
Right?
We need to give a shout out to Nusk for getting a fucking plug for his band put in the TWAB. That's a first, I think. I don't think I've ever seen any other bands in the TWAB. And it's a fucking good band too. So if you haven't checked out Sandrider, go and give it a listen. But we're moving on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, upcoming as well, August 28th. It's a little way off yet, but we've got director updates, milestones, and challenge updates. Weapon slot changes, bulk shader deletion, and 200 additional vault slots. Their delivery dates have been revised since the last publication of the roadmap. Make sure you check that out on the TWAP. We don't have a date for that as of yet. Probably going to be with the release of Forsaken. But we shall see. So we've got 3 ways to acquire powerful engrams. In Forsaken, a whole new challenge system that will replace the way you've been tracking milestones. Specific quests and bounties will provide better gear indicated by their summaries, and new mysteries are rarer sources. But if we told you about them, they wouldn't be mysterious. So you just got to
This is changes to the director,
see.
Yeah, this is changes to the director, sorry. I made it unclear.
So hold on. There was a whirlwind of information. I just want to make a couple of things clear with the roadmap, right? Main things is before Forsaken, we get the weapon slot changes. So we get to see the new weapon slot changes before Forsaken comes out. You'll also be able to delete your shaders in bulk as well. That's the two, and the vault space is going to be more as well. So
I like that idea. I like that idea because it gives you an opportunity to get in and kind of get your feet on the ground before all the new content, all the new weapons and everything drops, and you try to figure out what's good and what's not. Yeah. I really like the idea. It's good.
It is a primer update for Forsaken. So I mean, it'd be quite good to see what these new changes look like. Most of these sources of power will be refreshed weekly or daily. Some of them will be one-time sources. Once these changes are deployed into the wild, the Milestones Blade will call attention to these activities. Critical required missions such as the main campaign, new subclass path pursuits, next steps of quests, or other aspects of the progression of your characters. Legacy milestones for Destiny 2 campaigns aren't becoming challenges or quests. So
I get from that
more information.
Shit's going to change in the directory. Don't expect to have a milestone tab anymore. I think this is what they're saying there, and your powerful engrams are going to be weekly, and it seems like some of them are going to refresh daily. So the grind will be interesting to see how that goes. I guess this is working towards being able to do something every day and to progress your character, I guess. Not just do something for the sake of doing it. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see which ones progress daily.
So these new changes kind of tie in with the daily reset of the you remember from D1, ladies and gentlemen, when the first thing you did, well, the first thing that we did, as in Mylan, Log, and I, first thing we did when we logged into Destiny was go to the tower, go see old matey Robot with all of the Vanguard and Crucible daily challenges, then pick up the weekly from there as well, and then we move on. So all of this ties into that with the recent changes in the previous updates. So just be on the lookout for a little bit more grind. There
wasn't enough grind anyway.
Well,
never
it
enough
really
grind.
wasn't. Like it really wasn't though, was it? Like, let's be honest here. Like,
well, the
like
issue
you
with
could
Destiny
get to
385,
right,
is
no
you just
issues.
log in, you do your milestones, and there's nothing else for you to really do to progress your character, right? And I imagine that from the summit, they're 100% aware of that, and that was intentional change on their part as well, and that they want to return the hobby. So I think these all fall under the overarching goal of Bungie to return the hobby, with changes to the director and milestones and PowerPoint engrams.
Yeah, well, I know I know that I did this. I logged in once, did my milestones. I was out for the week.
Yeah,
and that was a lot of my time. Now, when Curse of Osiris first released, and everyone that Destiny went through that lull, were you doing the same thing, Slayerage? Were you sort of just logging in, doing your milestones, and logging back out again, or were you trying to stick with it, trying to find some challenge in the game around that point in time?
Really, a lot of the challenges have been kind of made impossible because of mechanics a lot of the time, which has been disappointing, but also probably better for the game in some ways too. So, what are you gonna do? I mean, I definitely had the same trap of, log in, do milestones, and then kind of not really sure what to do after that.
Yeah, go and find something else to do. So, I'm glad that they're addressing that. Like, the best thing that happened to Destiny was the summit. So I do again. We've thanked Mylan enough. So Mylan, you can just sit in your corner. But thank you to all of the content creators who actually went over there and actually voiced the opinions and the wants and the needs of the Destiny community, for lack of a better term.
Well, that's a good segue, because there's something that's not on a run sheet here that wasn't there, which I think is worth talking about, and that's that.
I was just about to mention this. I know where you're going.
Bungie has got the Bungie user research group, essentially, and I think this is sort of coming off the tail end of the summit, and this provides opportunity for people to complete surveys, questionnaires, and potentially be invited to play things that haven't been released yet, and to give feedback. And I think this I don't know, but I imagine that the success of the summit probably inspired this to be made, because we have creators bringing so much feedback to Bungie that is really useful, and so having sort of a dedicated group, well, it looks like a dedicated group at Bungie that are doing research essentially to how to improve the game is, I think, a really good step. I mean, you've got such a pool of data essentially, where people are so willing to help out. It seems crazy not to have something like this.
True.
Thoughts?
Hey, I think it's all. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think people want to invest their time in it. If nothing else, like, the community is really passionate, and most people, if not everyone, has an opinion on something that they want to put forward. And like to segue away from that a little bit, that when I said that I thought you were going to bring something up, and I was completely wrong. So there was a tweet went out from Bungie precisely 12 hours ago that says, "Today we've discovered an issue with quick play matchmaking. We're actively investigating the depth of the issue and currently believe that neither connection nor skill are being correctly factored when forming matches. For more information, please see, the Bungie tab." But go into that and read all of the comments, and literally it's a who's who of anyone who's around Destiny saying, please don't change it back. I haven't had a chance to play in the time frame that this has been happening, but apparently it's like it's changed the game up significantly, and everyone's going, "No, I'm having a great time with it. Please don't touch anything." Slayerage, have you had a chance to jump in, man? Have you had a dabble in it, or do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I have not liked the PvP of Destiny really at all, and since Destiny 2 came out, and this has actually been kind of fun recently. Like the 6v6 as it stands right now is actually pretty enjoyable. I've definitely lost a fair share of games, and I mean it's easy to win as it always was if you play with like a team of good players, but it's actually pretty fun to just run around solo and see what hand you're dealt.
So in this respect, so with this, I haven't checked this out. So there's no connection based, there's no skill based. It's just load in random, and you deal with what you got.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the connections have been pretty consistently not very good, but they're not so bad that it ruins the experience. And yeah, I mean, I had no problem with it personally.
What's the time frame? Because it reads like it's only like the last few days or something, but it's probably longer than that, right?
Yeah, I think really since 6v6 came back.
Yeah, right. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I probably haven't played enough to really comment, to be honest. I might get on and just grind away tonight and see how I go and see what I think.
But
well,
this
I mean,
is
we haven't
thing,
seen.
Though. Like,
sorry, mate. Go on.
This is the thing, right? This is I think and this sort of links to the Bungie user research stuff. How much let's do like a hypothetical. If you did votes for every change made like by the devs, right? And you only did what the community voted for, do you think you would have a better product?
God, no.
You wouldn't, right?
No.
So how do you decide which things to listen to and to act on, and which things to listen to and go, we don't think that's best for the game? I mean, that's the job, right? But it's interesting when you've got
like a unanimous opinion. You got to take it at the very least pretty seriously, whether or not you do implement it.
Yeah.
Like if you got 90% of people saying one thing, you need to really think why they're saying it, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But there is also a very vocal minority as well. Like I feel that the majority of Destiny players just play. And then there's a very, very vocal minority that are just like, Destiny's dead. No, change this. No, change this. And just like just flying off the handle because it's anonymous behind a keyboard. However, I do think you've touched on something there, mate, that if 90% or 99% of the people are talking about it and they're loving it, you've like you said, you've got to take it seriously. You do.
Yeah.
Are you guys surprised that they've never sort of gone to the extent of like at login you were presented with a quick 3-question survey about things?
Well, and you get a Valve engram.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, I'd do it. Like, you want to engram? Do the survey. Like, and you'd get people, like, you'd get a far greater swathe of people than you would by, like, trying to go through Twitter and figure out what the fuck people are saying.
Here's the thing, right? So I think Slayerage's point is a good thing. Some topics you can see, right, that there's 90% that it's a majority. It's a landslide, and random rolls is up there too, right? It was at the summit. It was discussed at the summit, and everyone's like, "Fuck, we want this, right? Everyone wants this." Like, okay, we should do it, right? And then maybe we're seeing something similar here, but then there's a whole bunch of grey stuff in between, and it's funny, like. Pretty much what Sloth was talking about is like your selection bias, right? If you release a survey, who completes it? You get people who are really happy and really fucking angry, and everyone in between just play the game, don't fill out the survey. So
make him do it.
The data you get back has selection bias.
You got to do it, or your characters get deleted.
So. It's interesting. I mean, this is actually an area that I'm really interested in is like, how do you get useful data from players? And how do you make that into like recommendations? and it's not an easy job. But it'd be interesting to see how they're handling on that side with their research. And when you've got social media platforms built into it, like how do you collect data from that too? When you got things like Twitter, you got things like Reddit, and you've got other things that YouTube comments. There's a whole bunch of information there that we're probably not tapping
I hope
into.
no one's gleaning anything from YouTube comments. Please.
But this is the thing, is that when you add surveys to that's a good idea, Log, but you are also, my words here may fail me, but you're also forcing people into it, and a lot of people don't react well to being forced into.
If you force someone to do a survey, they're going to troll it.
Well, exactly right. Like some people will legitimately just go, no, I want to do, like, if it's at point A or point A, you get good changes to the game. Point B, yeah, all right, changes. Point C, nobody wants it. People will just go, shit, point C.
Yeah, true. All right, it's another shit idea. We'll cross it off the list. All good, dudes. Thanks for keeping the dream alive and all that shit. Right, we're gonna come back. We're gonna open up the chat, and if there's anything you want to ask, go ahead, start writing it in now. But first, we've got a little message from our sponsors.
This week on the DDU Legendary Collection. History has proven that unlimited space-age technology cannot outperform the reliability of a 10-gauge pump-action shotgun. Deadpan delivery, now with the stopping power of Whooshka. Point, click, shoot. Range? Kind of. Impact? All of it. Deadpan delivers 5 shells of bone-shattering, teeth-rattling, viscera-splattering, overwhelming murder. I've done the math, and it checks out. Deadpan make the dead man. Floofing warlock? Whooshka! Hunter up to scumbaggery? Whooshka! Out of all of the shotguns, why should you use Deadpan? Because Deadpan make the dead man. No soup for you! Deadpan make dead man.
He's a special dude, Rick.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, and
Special dude, man.
he's a special dude. I love him. He's been very busy this week, working on something for next week. So I thought, fuck it, we'll rerun the Deadpan and have a laugh about that again. So, right, questions from the chat. No one, nothing.
But
Good.
in regards to the changes of what you've seen PvE wise, Slayerage, what is the biggest thing that you and your community are excited for?
I mean, for me personally, the Whisper of the Worm quest that is a big thing to me because they brought back a weapon that was broken, basically. Like they basically, on some level of others, said like, okay, maybe our power weapons aren't strong enough sometimes, or at the very least, maybe snipers aren't viable enough. So let's just go nuts, and then we're gonna make the mission for it. It's gonna have platforming. It's gonna have atmosphere. It's gonna have, the exploration and mystery that people want in the game. All that sort of stuff that's kind of at least been lower key than it was in Destiny 2 so far. And on top of that, it's got a really significant level of challenge to it. And all of those things are stuff that I think me and people like me have been missing really since Destiny 2 came out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's exciting.
Absolutely. It's definitely, when Destiny 2 was first released, it was very... people weren't pleased. Like I think the people who love the game regardless. But when it was released, it just wasn't in a good spot. And I'm really, really glad to see more people starting to enjoy it more. The PvP for me at the moment on PC is rough because I'm trash. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying getting absolutely flogged because it makes me a better player. So I'm okay with where the PvP is at, especially 6x6. It's good to have 6x6 again. So yeah,
I think coming back to the Whisper of the Worm quest, right? There's so many things that it did right that aren't impossible to achieve. Like it's not like it was a lightning strike. Like what it was is a difficult activity that was in an interesting area to get a really cool bit of kit, right? And they can, like, I'm looking at this new list of exotics that they're bringing out, and anything like super fucking cool won't be on that list. You know that there's going to be this sort of like the top tier of stuff. Well, they're going to do this kind of thing with, really. And I think that, like, coupling that kind of, you know, you've got to be good enough to go and get it, or you've got, you know, like, it gives service streamers and shit helping people go and get these bits of gear. You know, it gives them something to do. I think there's a definitely a change in tact in that can be kind of pretty clearly summed up in Whisper of the Worm, I think. And I think that's what's got people so excited again, and that's what's drawn people back into it. I mean, like, watching Slayerage's video of him soloing it, and, like, people talking about that. I had that sent to me. Like, I knew that, you know, we were talking to you about getting you on, and someone that has nothing to do with any of this show or anything is like, have you fucking seen this? Like, this is, I can't even do the thing with a full fire team, and this dude's doing this. But, like, I think that's what it's done so well, is, like, people care enough to do the activity because they want the reward, but it's really challenging, and people feel like they've earned it when they've got it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
that's such a huge part of it. That's what makes it Destiny. That's what I want to play Destiny for. Like, every time when you feel like you really earned something, that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about that quest is, like, you feel like you've earned it, and then it's a powerful weapon. So I've earned something really decent, and, you know,
I didn't feel like I earned it. Sassy carried my soul.
Oh yeah, actually, I didn't earn mine either. But I've still got the powerful weapon out of it. Look, I know there's a lot of questions in chat, but I want to ask this other question to Slayerage too. So what's new super are you most excited for? Is there anything that really changes the game for you with what you do?
I really don't know. I'm gonna have to see those in practice, but all of them look really cool. I really like the Warlock ones, especially Voidwalker and Stormcaller. I think the Stormcaller one has potential to do some crazy stuff.
It's
they all look awesome.
Kamehameha, isn't it? Just the focus beam. Yeah.
So we have some questions from the chat from a love sick synthetic. Thank you for the question. What do you wish for most in the Grimoire book? I just want to see the art of it. Like Mylan, Log, and I, we've been doing this for a while now. We've been friends for a while now. We have Log and I have garnered some lore knowledge just through osmosis by hanging around Mylan. But I really want to see the art behind it to make the lore feel more alive. Like we said at the top of the cast, the image of Oryx fighting Akka, wings outstretched, massive sword in hand, like it's something that you would see on the cover of like a metal album, and I love it. And it makes me want to read that book. I'll read it anyway because, you know, reasons, but it's
we might have to exempt Matt from answering this question.
Well, all I would say is that I think a lot of people's favorite thing will be artwork, because, you know, the lore, particularly lore tabs and particularly Grimoire cards, you know, we've never seen a visualization of that.
Yeah.
And often the stories we've never seen visualization of. And so artwork, you know, it's things we have never seen before, or potentially things we have never seen before. Right. You know, I mean, Oryx is sort of in a different boat because, you know, we obviously had him as a main character, but there's, you know, that's the attraction for the artwork. And I guess without breaking any things, I would say that doing the work for Bungie doesn't change that I was a fan of the lore and a fan of Destiny and all that kind of stuff. Like, you asked me, like, what I look forward to most, it's exactly what I look forward to before. What I want to see from it. It's exactly what, you know, you as a community want to see from something as lore. Like, you know, I'm representing the community as much as representing Bungie. And that's why there's this collaboration for it. So,
and the art of Destiny and the art of that lore, especially the Books of Sorrow, the lore itself is very brutal. it can be very, very brutal. Like stripping the light off that hunter of I can't remember the hunter's name, the hunter that went down into the pit with Eris.
Yeah, that was an Eris. That's not the book.
Sorry, I know that's not Books of Sorrow, but stripping the light out of it, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's dark, and to go and be actually able to, like, look at a visual representation of this. And, like, full credit, Matt has been trying to do that for a long time with the work that he does with Gamma, with the lore videos and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's always been in something that could be, you know, grown and focused in on and honed in on. And to get it from, like, Bungie artists to I guess to an extent it then becomes canon, like this is what this looks like and that sort of thing. But for me, the thing I'm most excited about that book is just to be able to go and take Destiny away from the computer and the, you know, like the console or whatever, and not be on an app, but go and, you know, like go to bed, lie in bed, read some lore in a book like a proper grown adult, rather than just stuffing around in an app and doing that sort of stuff. So I think I don't know. I collect shit. I went through friggin' Transformers on stream last week. That was embarrassing, but I like owning that sort of stuff, and I think that for a lot of people, even, you know, like people who are more into the lore and probably know everything in the book, are even more excited about it. So really something to look forward to. Slayer, you reckon you'll pick up a copy, mate?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love the fact that it's an anthology. Like I've wanted to see an actually. The fact that you, like you said, proper book, something that I can read like as an adult, carry around with me. You've hit on all the same things that make it sound really cool to me. I'm definitely interested. I'll definitely be getting one.
Yeah. No, it's really, really good to see. Thanks for your question there, Love Synthetic. Question. Is that a question? It is a question. A question from Mr. Dino Games. So, Mylan, I'm imagining I'm joining the legions on your Twitter feed. How is the experience of making the anthology? Also, is there any way you can interface with the artist behind it that did the winged Oryx versus Akka image because he didn't have wings until the next verse?
I won't talk about any of the process, but what I can talk about is probably the experience. And I think it's the same as working with on any project or with any company. You know, you go through the initial excitement of it, and then you sit down, you're like, fuck, I've got a lot of stuff to do. And then you sort of get in your zone and you do that work. And like with anything, you know, it becomes a job and you keep working at it. But I think the thing with working for something like Bungie is you get that. And it can be either way, right? It can be that massive reward or massive backlash, right? So, you know, we had the announcement, which was, you know, a massive reward for working on it, for everyone involved with it, and that, you know, to see that response from the community fuels you to like keep going and to do better and really aim for the perfect product that people love. And with working with that kind of company, you also have the other side of it. Whereas when you produce something that people don't like, you also got to deal with the negative too. So we're not at the end of the road yet. Thank you for all the support so far, because that fuels me and everyone working on it to make sure that we deliver. And, you know, that's always, no one ever does a project not to do their best. But it is like any other job in that sense. And we hope that when we do deliver that, you know, we still see, you know, smiling, happy faces from the community.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dino Games, for that. Ants with the troll question. We're clearly going to get all of our D1 exotics back eventually. What do you want most, and why is it the last word? Eds, please.
He's not wrong, though. That's the fucking annoying thing about it.
A question from Polar Bear 79. Thank you for the question. What are Slayer's thoughts on the return of Tickle Fingers to the Warlock?
What?
The word.
Can I get that translated?
Yeah, she's.
What are Tickle Fingers?
Sorry, Stormcaller, as in like.
But what do you mean by return?
I don't know. Abby, what are you talking about? All right, well, a question from me instead. What are the origins of Kaz Chicken?
Oh my god. Okay, this is gonna be toxic. Oh no, I don't know that you want to actually know the answer to this question. Okay, so I was playing competitive one day, and
Yes.
I came to the conclusion the best way to summarize how I feel about the competitive experience in Destiny 2 after having played a huge amount of Halo 3 competitive and Overwatch competitive and getting high ranks in that. When I played Destiny competitive and the ranking system didn't put me against people who were the same, like the glory system didn't determine who I was playing against, and I wasn't empowered enough as an individual player to really make any difference on my own. It just came down to teamwork and nothing else. And there were a lot of games where I play against 4-stacks just all the time, being on PC in one of the higher skill brackets, and it just was a really unfun experience. And based on that, I was like, okay, so this is just like games are like steak or chicken. Some people don't like steak, and that's weird, but it's cool. You do you. That's kind of like not liking Fortnite. It's a popular game. It has good things going for it, and you're free to not like it. That's okay. But if you like Destiny 2 competitive, that's like enjoying canned whole chicken unironically, which I was basically making the argument that you just should not like it, period. And if you do, you're crazy. And that's where canned chicken came from. That's the story.
Chicken. Oh god.
Yeah, canned whole chicken. You should Google it. It's really something.
Thank fuck I had lunch before we did this.
I've got Frankenface installed on my browser, and I can see the emote big time, and it is
glorious. That's the word,
glorious.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, so Polar's question was the melee range of tickle fingers, like the tickle fingers, the motion, not tickle fingers, like the stupidly long range melee that. Yeah, I can tell you, I'm not looking forward to it. But Slayerage.
Oh yeah, I forgot about. That looked awesome. I'm actually excited about that. I hated it in Destiny 1, but eventually got okay with it. And honestly, those kinds of things, I hated them at first, but they grew on me. And I think it's gonna. I mean, it looks cooler in Destiny 2. I'm excited about it actually.
Yeah. What? So
I don't even
wait.
play Warlock that much.
What was the ability again? It was just like stupid range, wasn't it? It was like
the Thunderstrike, yeah. But it's like Thunderstrike, and then the description: stupid range.
Yeah. Thunderstrike hit enemies that you can't actually even see anymore. Like they're just on the opposite side of the horizon.
They're over the other side of the hill. Okay, so as someone who runs Syntheseps in PvP and loves it, I'm not looking forward to this because I like punching Warlocks, and now Warlocks are going to outpunch me as a Titan, and I'm going to be really sad about that. So, Log, please use your Bungie contacts to bring back one hit shoulder charge again. Okay, thanks.
I think you might be barking up the wrong tree there, mate. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I can get one hit shoulder charge put back in the game, I will. But it'll be after the fucking air guitar emote. Sorry, I haven't mentioned it this week, and I'm contractually obliged to. Anyway, moving on.
No, the way that Destiny's going, as we've said on several occasions, the way that Destiny's going, I think it's in a good spot that is getting better. I think it's in a good spot and is getting better. Everyone has their own thoughts on it, but all that sort of thing. But Slayer, thanks for coming on the podcast, man. As very yeah. Thank you, man. It's legitimately very, 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 very cool of you to do it, and we do apologize for all the bollocks at the start. We had a lot of technical issues.
Should we inform? We will inform the audience that the DDU will never again use Skype because we're fucking sick of it. And I know that there's probably people listening to this going, "These motherfuckers use Skype." And that's completely fair enough because we're idiots and we're stupid people and we made Slayerage fucking re-downloaded it and stuff and we didn't even need to. So anyway, it's dead. Skype, you're dead to us. I'm going to put it on a USB stick and throw it in fire. Dead.
So, Slayage, where can we find you this week, or where can we find you usually on Twitter or on Twitch?
On Twitter, it's SC_Slayerage, and Twitch, it's just Slayerage.
Nice.
So,
and
guys,
can you give us a sneak peek? Like, Can you reveal what you've been working on, or we've got to wait and see?
Aside from
I don't have anything all that exciting come up. I got a Whisper of the Worm, or Whisper Quest, no Whisper of the Worm coming up on YouTube soon, but that's about it. That'll be linked on Twitter pretty soon too.
Wait. So
Gonna solo
solo Whisper of the Worm without using Whisper of the Worm.
Yeah, that is right.
Oh my lord, that's just crazy. That's just crazy.
What are you using?
Nah,
Just out of
thank you
interest,
very
what are
much.
you using?
It's Sleeper Simulant. That's definitely the main thing.
Yeah,
And
the,
Titan.
Fair.
the fuck off gun. Yeah, fair enough.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Well, there we go. We've got that to
Log
look
and
forward to.
Matt, what have you guys got planned for this week outside of Matt going to all of the important Activision CEO meetings? What have you got planned for this week?
Hey, can we touch on that? I feel lied to. I mean, CEOs don't write books. What the fuck?
What do I have this week? Look, game wise, I would like my Hunter. I've started the Hunter. I need to start the Titan now and get that up to level 30 so I can start transferring some gear. So I'm still on that grind. And I got the Escalation Protocol shoddy last week, so I've just got the SMG to do to round out that collection. And that's about it.
Is it SMG week this week?
Yeah, I think so.
God
All
damn
right,
it.
we're going to have to organise that because
I just need to snipe
that.
that, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have been listening on our audio-only platform, please hit us up at twitter.com/SC_Slayerage, at Mylan Games, at LogPowerSlave, or at Realtime Sloth, or you can hit up the podcast for at DDU_podcast for any questions, queries, doubtful points. Same on YouTube. Check your comments down below. If you are new to the YouTube channel, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button and the bell so you know when we upload. And to our live audience, thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you for coming out and supporting. If you're from Slayerage's community, thank you for coming over and supporting him and us over here on the DDU podcast. And thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure. We have been the DDU, a special guest Slayerage. I'll catch you sometime next week with another guest. Matt?
Mate, didn't I tell you the law will find you? Didn't I?
Yeah.
The law didn't find you. The law hit you with a fucking book.
I'm disappointed there was no wink, but we're moving on anyway. Cheers. See you next week. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
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 Oh, I hit the wrong button. Shit.